Alright, so this is the gravity force that I was created with a GPT-5.6 Sol. So this one here is going to collapse, so everything is going to pull to bit and explode here and do the orbit again. So this is like what GPT-5.6 is doing. In comparison, so this one is actually created by Fable 5 where we make last week. So I think the prompt and everything is okay. But for the impressive in kinds of like visibility and everything, I think I was preferring Fable a bit more on this. Alright, so welcome to Office Hour 52 of AgenticFlow. So today I'm going to talk about a few things. So one is we have a new feature that's called AI dry. So you can we will allow you to do some kinds of like AI dry zip download. We do some enhancement on MCP reliability and also some model lifecycle update with new model as well. So the first one is let's take one by one. So first one is the custom MCP header network more reliability. So before we can allow you to do some like authentication with MCP server via OAuth, but we are supporting like the custom MCP server that using like API key, bearer token, tenant identifier and other value. So this update also doing like preserve header throughout the connections lifecycle and using them when validated server and discovery is tool. It also had on the streamable HTTP discovery part. Okay, so the response will be fully consumed before AgenticFlow pass the MCP payload, so it will prevent the authenticated connection appearing healthy while return 0 true because streaming response couldn't be read. So it means you will have the more reliability MCP connection after all. Second one is we also introducing like you are able to have the download the anti-AI drive folder at the zip now. So you can go into AI drive and also just click on this 3-dot button and click on the download as zip and you'll be able to download the entire folder. This including like accessible file and folder recursively. So it means you have a lot of file inside that folder. We will do recursively to zip them and you can download to your computer. It also preserve the related task and also original nested directory structure. So everything you download will be same. And we also even like including the empty subfolder and everything. So basically, it will using your existing AI drive as a folder and able to download to your computer. Alright, so next one we would like to introduce is the big is of this week is we are introducing GPT 5.6 Sol and also other model in AgenticFlow. So let me open a bit on this one. So in June actually they are OpenAI starting to presenting the GPT 5.6 Sol and they are doing preview on this one, and this model is actually a kind of like SOTA model and it's actually having a three tier of the model with its Sol, we have Terra and also Luna, and then they are actually based on the performance like terminal bench. OpenAI was saying that they are even better than my thoughts or maybe Fable 5 in here, and also the Terra itself is also better than Fable 5, but everyone is kind of like they are favoring their own themselves in the benchmark, but in reality we need to check on the artificial analysis leaderboard model, so we see the better. So in here actually we can see that Fable 5 is still leading model at the moment with the top 60 point. Sol Max and Sol XI actually lower, and we also have a new candidate which is Kimi K3, which I'm going to talk to you about this later. Sol and also Terra and also other is actually quite competitive where they are having 50 point and above on this one. So ideally, AgenticFlow currently support this model. You can go into here. Let me click on where is it? Okay, this model. So you can go here into PixelML, and then you can see like we have 5.6 Sol, Terra, and Luna, where you can use the model. So this model is support vision and also reasoning. So you can actually do a lot of things with that. And the output for the model, so is here. So the gravity port is one shot to creating this one, or the command that IS tracker that we are doing is also one shot to creating this one. It's quite nice actually, comparable to to Fable, and even nicer. It even like handle the error very nice. So I think right now the API from iOS is not available, so that's why it was kind of like showing error here. But in the meantime, the one that created by Fable actually not having this nice UI, it actually blocking me from the very beginning. So I think the 5.6 is really good. So recently actually I was trying to using 5.6 much more than Fable 5 in our day-to-day operation and development. Just because like 5.6 is having a little bit more generous kinds of like quota comparing to other, why Fable 5 is actually very limited. And even though like Fable 5 was supposed to be ending by July 19, but I think because of GPT 5.6 and also Kimi K3, actually they have to withdraw that, and right now they are saying like you can still using Fable 5 as a max subscriber. So I think that is good. The competition is actually good for consumer actually. So yeah, that's it on the GPT 5.6 Sol and Terra. Go ahead and try them using PixelML Open Router. And also in this week we also having another player, which is also Frontier, that come into place. This model is actually it's named Kimi K3, and this model is actually released here in the this is technical architecture, but basically Kimi K3 is actually ranked #1 in front-end code arena. This one is actually voted by human, so actually it is being favorable better than Claude Fable 5. So this is a model that open weight, and also they are going to release the model by July 27 as well. So it means it's the first time we have a model that in the frontier tier that going to be released to the public, and actually it be jumping like 17 place jump from like 18 to #1 from Kimi K3.6 at the moment. So I think we are really grateful to have Kimi K3 to be open weight, because actually it's going to be having better competition in the landscape, so that actually having a better price for everyone. So same. So if you go into AgenticFlow, you can go into PixelML Open Router, and also you can click in here. We have Kimi K3. This one also submit vision and also reasoning, so that you can choose this one. And yeah, so this model, there's a lot of good thing about this model. You can actually search about that, or you can read their blog posts. So you can see in here, this is the like open frontier model size over time. So they are the very big model, 2.8 trillion parameter. So the biggest model seen so far is DeepSeek V4 with 1.6 trillion parameter. And also they have new architecture, they have a lot of other things, but I will not cover in here. You can search about that in artificial analysis and so on. I think they also covering a lot of like other use case. Where is it? Okay, so the intelligent part I think is already have. Yeah, so the cost per task. So the cost per intelligent task is also very, very interesting to see. So we have Kimi K3 here. It's cost around $1 per intelligent task. Fable 5 actually costs around like 3 times higher, which is 2.75. And DeepSeek is the one that really great at value, 0.0, so like 2 cents per task on this one. So, and DeepSeek is actually available in AgenticFlow subscription. So if you have this one, I would strongly that you should base your like day-to-day operation on DeepSeek, because this is the best model with best performance at very affordable cost. And we're also having the second one, which is MiMo v2.5. We also available that in the AgenticFlow as well. So I think these two models is great price performance that you should use in AgenticFlow. Okay. Yeah, so this is some benchmark that we have like GPT 5.6 and Kimi K3 have. So Kimi K3, they were saying in the deep software engineer, they are actually third after Sol and Fable 5. Terminal bench is #2. Frontier software engineer is on #2. Program bench and so on. So they are like just #1 or #2. And the reason is that because it's open weight, so it means it's introducing more other supplier. They can actually take Kimi K3 weight, and they can host it, and also it will dramatically reducing the price, and also it will take out the like the monopoly of like Claude Fable 5 or GPT 5.6 Sol. And I think this is good for all of us. So that's why I really favor on this one. All right. Apart from that, we're also going to announce some different. So we have received the announcement from OpenAI. So here, so they were sending us a message. They were saying like, this model is going to be shut down by July 23rd of 2026. It includes some of model that we currently support in AgenticFlow, including like GPT-4 mini and so on and so on. So that's why we also have this model that have here. And if you are using this model, please switch to the alternative that are available in AgenticFlow or PixelML operator. Okay. Yeah, so we're also doing some change in here. So we have Straico shutdown. So this is unfortunate to read this announcement on this one. But I know the Straico team, they're doing the great, but I think the business is not going well enough for this one. So it's unfortunate to see them go. So we have to shut down their integration because unfortunately they cannot operate from tomorrow. So that's why we need to take them off on this one. Okay. Yeah. So, again, so AgenticFlow, actually we was really, grateful that we can continue to operating and also support the community and customer. So we will continue to update and so, maintaining the system. So if you have any bug or issue, please have to send to support@agenticflow.ai, so we can have to focus. So our ultimate priority still now is the stability and also, the reliability of system. So please have to send us on this one. All right. Next one I would like to share is about the OpenAI-compatible. So if you are following us for long, you will see that we have the OpenAI-compatible models that we can support any model, any provider. So you can go here, you can go into OpenAI-compatible provider here, and actually you can click on this one. You can add a provider with a name, the key if needed, and then actually we will discover this provider in order to fetch all of the model that I have. And one of the things that I was discovering, this one is the CLIProxyAPI. So basically what it does is that it allows you to, using your existing subscription from any other like model, provider, including like, ChatGPT, even Claude or DeepSeek or anti-gravity or something, and make them available as API compatible so that actually you can use AgenticFlow with that. So, for example, like here, I was adding at my provider, I was saying that AgenticFlow COI proxy, and in here, actually, I'm going to Grok here, and I'm choosing, AgenticFlow COI proxy, and it will fetch in my proxy here. In here, actually, I add a lot of model in here, it including Kimi, including like, Q&A code, including Z.ai, DeepSeek, and everything. So it means it's like my custom proxy. And even like for ChatGPT, I'm logging my ChatGPT Pro account in here, and actually I can using GPT-5.6 Terra or GPT-5.6 Plus or Sol in order to power it AgenticFlow as well. But to be honest, this is might be against some of the term and condition of those services. So we make sure you are checking them carefully before you are doing these kinds of things. Actually for OpenAI, I think I read from Fable from OpenAI, I think they are like kinds of like gray area, and they kinds of like accept us to using other harness to using their model as long as you pay them already, right? Because you already pay for ChatGPT Pro, then you can use it anywhere. But for Claude and so on, I was not to get that you logging in Claude here, because the problem with Anthropic is that they will ban you, and they will just ban you, and because they are top of the world, they will just kind of like they will just dish you up, and nothing you can do about that. Yeah, so I think that's good, and I would think that the more that you are having the subscription here, and you can just set up an COI proxy API, and then just put that into AgenticFlow, then you never have to worry about token anymore. You can use frontier model for your agent and so on, and that will help us to continue to give you the better platform to operating your model without like having too much financial heavy. So I think that is something useful. For example, like here, I can say hi to Grok. Grok is also having an X premium. Hey, yeah, what's your name? Yeah, so Grok by XAI. So actually, we can just using the subscription that we have in X already, and then we just put it in the CLI proxy API, and then we plug here, and it becoming like I can using Grok, I can using Kimi K3, I can using whatever I want, and no need to waiting for something. So AgenticFlow already have that capability. So go ahead and use it. You might need to host this CLI proxy in maybe a small VPS or somewhere, but that is pretty easy. Just copy this one and throw to your codex on Cloud Code, or maybe if you're still using Ishi, you can also plug that to Ishi as well. All right, so next one, and also we fix some bug in here. So before, when we are choosing a model from the AI compatible, it will not show here. We fix that bug, so now you can see, I can see that I'm using Grok 4.5 now. We also doing some other like MCP OAuth connection, verify before showing connected. So it will require all can fail, tune available, and so on. After that, so we are also having a new 7 workflow blueprint prompt, just like normal. Please just copy any prompt below to your Cloud Code, Codex, or Ishi, or any other AI coding assistant. It will allow you to do something like network vulnerability report package, vulnerability sort creative, interior Moodboard creative, weather report email, tech news radar email, product review insight package, and price monitoring alert as well. So please just copy this URL and paste to your favorite coding assistant. It will have it set it up for you, and you can actually steer in the conversation and talk to your Cloud Code or Codex. Then let it work through AgenticFlow. And there one more tips, because right now Codex is actually having a very good like in-app browser similar to Cloud Code desktop. So it means they can actually help you to build application. They can even like open AgenticFlow for you, ask you to log in, please log in for them, and they can inspect the agent and do everything that needed for you. So even like if they have find some bug or something that you would like to see, ask them to write an email and send to us, and we will check them and also getting your feedback. All right, so I think that's it for today. I hope that you will enjoy the hour 52, and anything else, please write out an email to support@agenticflow.ai. Thank you. Bye bye.
Hi everyone, and welcome back to the AgenticFlow channel. So in this episode, we are using Ishi together with the AgenticFlow CLI to build a network vulnerability report packet in just a couple of minutes. So that we're back, let me set the scene. If you have ever run a scan against a server, you know the output is rarely the hard part. Making sense of it is. Are back with Codex, you end up with a pile of open ports, TLSDT tails, and findings, and then someone has to decide what actually matters, how urgent each item is, and what to tell the team. So we are back with Dex. Yet that trite step is slow. It is inconsistent from person to person, and it is exactly where important issues slip through. Codex. So this blueprint turns raw scan findings into a clean, prioritized security report. Here you can see the prompt we are using. We ask the AgenticFlow CLI to deploy the network for vulnerability report pack blueprint, and we hand it a set of scan findings for an internal staging API, the open ports, the OpenSH agent Neejings versions, the TLS support, and a couple of specific findings, or HTTP redirects to HTTPS, but is missing HTS and SSH password authentication is enabled, or with codec. These are exactly the kind of details a scanner spits out but does not interpret for you. Notice the report policy in the prompt. So we are back at we ask for a triage report with severity, likely CV, lookup targets, remediation steps, and a notification draft, but strictly as a draft. And we are explicit that it must not claim it ran on a map, wrote a file, sent a telegram message, sent an email, we or looked anything up against a live CV API. That honesty matters. The output is a decision aid, not a record of actions taken. So we are back code as when we run it. Ishi reads the prompt, deploys the workflow on AgenticFlow, and runs it once. Let me walk through what comes back. Are back with an executive furtive summary, the short version you would put in front of a lead. then a findings table where each issue gets a severity, so you can see at a glance what to look at first. If we are back at next, likely CV lookup targets, so you know exactly what to go research instead of starting from a blank page. We are back with coding. After that, a remediation plan with concrete steps and a notification draft you could adapt for your team. Are back with certain finally, and the assumptions it made, which keeps everyone honest about what was inferred versus measured. Notice the transformation. You start with a flat technical dump, and then you end with something a human can actually act on, ranked, explained, and ready to share. We will practice to use this yourself. You will first need the AgenticFlow CLI installed. Our earlier videos walk through the setup if you have not done that yet. We're by and while we are using Ishi in this episode, the exact same prompt works in Codex or Claude Code, so use whichever agent you prefer. One nice detail, the blueprint prioritizes AgenticFlow's built-in nodes, so it only consumes AgenticFlow credits when it runs. So we're back with Sardo. Once it is finished, we can jump over to AgenticFlow and review the whole workflow visually, confirming each step was built and connected correctly. So you can watch your raw findings flow through the nodes and come out the other side as a structured report. Here is why this matters at scale. We are back with trend any single trade is useful, but the real win is that every scan gets read the same way every time, cut the same severity lens on the same remediation format, the same notification style. Slow ham 8, that consistency is almost impossible to keep up by hand, and it is what turns ad hoc scan into a repeatable security habit. I'd also like that encourage you, I would really encourage to try this, you to try your own scan output. In a worst way, I say watch how it ranks and explains the findings, connect it to how your team already handles security reviews, and tune it to fit. Koto Banito, thanks so much for watching. If you found this helpful, please subscribe for more, and we will see you in the next one. Hi everyone, and welcome back to the AgenticFlow channel. In this episode, we are using Codex together with the AgenticFlow CI to build a product review insight packet in just a couple of minutes. So let me set the scene. So we're back with Codex. If you sell anything online, your reviews are one of the most honest sources of feedback you have, and one of the most underused. Codex. The signal is all there, what customers love, what keeps breaking, the exact words they use, and the reasons they walk away. So back with reading through reviews one by one and turning them into something your product and marketing teams can act on is tedious. And also most of that insight just sits there. But this blueprint turns a pile of raw reviews into a structured ins packet. Here you can see the prompt we are using. So we asked the AgenticFlow CLI to deploy the product review insight pack blueprint, and we give it a handful of review rows, each one a rating and a short comment. I work with code a 5-star about great battery life and easy setup, a 2-star complaining that a plastic hinge feels weak at the and app disconnected twice. So we back with F4 4-star that liked the value but found the instructions confusing, and a 1 at star that stopped charging after 2 weeks with slow support. Bev, a small but very realistic mix, knows the analysis policy. So we are back when we ask it to analyze sentiment, themes, defects, buyer language, and improvement opportunities, but as a draft only. Explicit, and we are explicit that, and it must not claim it Renapify, saved to Google Sheets, sent anything to Slack, or performed any external action. So what you get is analysis you can trust to be analysis, not a report of things that never happened. When we run it, Codex reads the prompt, deploys the workflow on AgenticFlow, and runs it once. Let me walk through the output. Debater first, the average rating and overall sentiment. So you have the headline, and then the top themes, which cluster all those individual comments into the handful of things people actually keep talking about. We are back with code. Next, defect signals. Are the specific problems worth problem flagging to engineering, like that weak hinge and the charging failure? After that, the buyer language, the real phrases customers use, is gold for your marketing copy. So we are back with and then a set of product and marketing opportunities, and finally a Slack style summary draft written the way you would actually post it to your team. This X notice the transformation X. You start with scattered subtlety that's subjective comments, and you end with a prioritized decision ready packet that two different teams can use immediately. And then to use this yourself, you will first need the AgenticFlow CLI installed. Our earlier videos cover the setup if you have not done that yet. Also, while we are using Codex in this episode, the exact same prompt works in Claude Code or Ishi, so use whichever agent you like. We are with that one detail worth though birth calling out blueprint prioritizes AgenticFlow's built-in nodes, which means it only consumes AgenticFlow credits when it runs. In Carta, once it is done, we can jump over to AgenticFlow and review the whole workflow visually, confirming that each step was built and connected correctly. Is satisfying to watch a messy list flow through reviews through the nodes and come out as a clean insight packet. Here is where this really pays off. The value is not any single batch of reviews. It is that every batch gets analyzed the same way, so you can run it weekly, compare over time, and actually track whether the fixes you ship move the needle. Whether with Terra, the whistleblower, that kind of consistency is what turns reviews from background noise into a real feedback loop. I would encourage you to try this with your own reviews. Which Meki watch the themes and defect signals it surfaces is connected to how your product and marketing teams already work, and tune it to your catalog. So with there, thanks so much for watching. If this was helpful, please subscribe for more, and we will see you in the next one. Hi everyone, and welcome back to the AgenticFlow channel. In this episode, we are using Ishi together with the AgenticFlow CLI to build a weather report email workflow in just a couple of minutes. Let me set the scene. So we are back with Codex. We are a daily briefing that lands in your inbox is one of those small automations that quietly makes a day run smoother, whether it is for you, your team or your customers. So we are back with the weather is the classic example, simple to want, slightly annoying to wire up yourself. So we are back with Codex. So you need to pull a forecast for a specific big place, turn the raw numbers into something readable, and then actually send it as an email on a schedule. So where Blueprint does the whole chain end to end to end. Here you can see the prompt we're using. So we ask the AgenticFlow CLI to deploy the weather report email blueprint, and we give it a few simple inputs. Say a city, New York, its latitude and longitude, and a recipient email address. That is genuinely all it needs. Is the point of this episode is how little you have to specify to get a working deployed pipeline. We are back. When we run it, Ishi reads the prompt, it deploys the workflow on AgenticFlow and runs it once. Let me walk through what happens. So we are back with the workflow takes those coordinates, fetches a forecast, and composes a clean, readable weather report. Not a wall of numbers, but the kind of summary if a person actually wants to read over coffee. We are back coding, then it sends that report as an email to the recipient and confirms the send result, so you can see the whole loop close. Are from raw data all the way to a message in an inbox. This is a good moment to point out what makes this different from the other blueprints in the series. In the Codex, we are back with Codex. A lot of our examples are deliberately draft only. They organize information but never take an external action. So we act. This one is the opposite kind of example. It actually completes a real send, which is exactly what you want for a scheduled briefing. Back it is a nice illustration of how the same CLI and the same workflow bill handle both analysis tasks and real end-to-end actions. So we're back with Codex. For you to use this yourself, you will first need the AgenticFlow CLI installed. Our earlier videos walk through the setup if you have not done that yet. We're back Koi Ain, and while we are using Epishi in the episode, the exact same prompt works in Codex or Claude Code, so use whichever agent you prefer. A one nice detail, the blueprint leans on AgenticFlow's built-in nodes, so it stays simple and only consumes AgenticFlow credits when it runs. Year Kerbatu. Once it is finished, we can jump over to AgenticFlow and review the whole workflow visually, confirming each step was built and connected correctly. With the Synctro, you can follow the path from the input coordinates through the forecast and the formatting to the email node at the end. Here is why this matters. At Indaclay, once this exists as a deployed workflow, you are not doing anything by hand anymore. Cointo, you can point it at a different CP, a different recipient, or put it on a schedule and it just runs. Iflay and the same pattern, fetch some data, shape it into something human and deliver it, is one you will reuse constantly. Whether the payload is weather metrics or a daily digest for your customers. I would end the really info, so I would really encourage you to try this with your own city and your own inbox. Watch the report it generates and confirm the email lands. Then imagine swapping the weather for whatever daily update date your team actually cares about. So keep watching. Thanks so much for watching. And if you found this helpful, please subscribe for more, and we will see you in the next one. Hi everyone, and welcome back to the AgenticFlow channel. So this episode we are using Codex together with the AgenticFlow CLI build to be tech news radar email in just a couple of minutes. Let me set the scene. Staying on top of a fast moving field is a real job in itself. So we are back with code. There is a fire hose of headlines every single day, most of it noise, and the useful is scale signals across feeds you never quite time to read. So you either drown in tabs or you fall behind. What you actually want is simple. Or back who watch the there's someone to watch the feed for, pick out the handful of things that matter for your focus area and drop a tidy digest in your inbox. This blueprint is exactly that. Here you can see the prompt we are using. Kusida, we ask the AgenticFlow CLI to deploy the Tech News Radar email blueprint, and we give it a few inputs. We're back a feed URLs, in this case the hacker news, a focus topic of cybersecurity, a limit of 5 items, and a recipient email address. We are back with code, so we are telling it where to look, what to care about, how much to include, and where to send the result. So we run it with code. Dex reads the prompt, deploys the workflow on AgenticFlow, and runs it once. Let me walk through what happens. I've also the workflow pulls the latest items from that feed, filters and curates them against your focus topic. So you are not just getting the raw list. Weed it in and turns the survivors into a clean digest, the kind you would actually read top to bottom. If back with Codex then it sends that digest as in an email and confirms the send result, so you can watch the whole thing, close the loop from feed to inbox. The keyword there's curated. So we are back with code. It is easy to forward a raw feed. The value here is the workflow that does the filtering. It decides which five items are worth your attention given the topic you specified. So what lands in your inbox is a short that's a relevant briefing instead of everything the feed published. So you're back with to use yourself. You will first need the AgenticFlow's Flow CLI installed. Our earlier videos cover the setup if you have not done that yet. And while we are using Codex in this episode, the exact same prompt works in Claude Code or Ishi, so use whichever agent you like. That is one nice detail. The blueprint prioritizes AgenticFlow's built-in nodes, so it only consumes AgenticFlow credits when it runs. Once it is done, we can jump over to AgenticFlow and review the whole workflow visually, confirm that each step was built and connected correctly. We're back with that code. You can trace the path from the feed through the filtering and the digest formatting all the way to the email node at the end. And with that here is where this really pays off. Once it is this deployed, this quietly runs on a schedule and keeps you current without any effort. The the pattern is completely reusable. pointed it at a different feed, change the focus topic, and you have a radar for any field you care about. Then I share from AI research to your own competitors' blog. So we're back with the you build it once and get a briefing forever. So I would encourage you to try this with a feed you actually follow and a topic you care about. Day which the dissect query, watch the digest, and confirm the email arrives. Then think about how many little research habits you could hand off to a workflow like this. So either Shamaka watch you so much for watching. Thanks so watching. If this was helpful, please subscribe for more, and we will see you in the next one. Hi, everyone. Welcome back to the AgenticFlow channel. So in this episode, we are using Ishi together with the AgenticFlow CLI to build an interior moodboard creative packet in just a couple of minutes. Let me set the scene. And anyone who has to decide to sign a room knows the hardest part is not taste. It is getting from a vague feeling to a concrete direction. So we are back with You want the space to feel calm and warm, but turning that into a real palette, a materials list, specific furniture choices, and the look you can actually shop for is a lot of scattered decisions. So Zyme designers do this every day. The rest of us stare at the room and stall. We are back with Codex. This blueprint takes a short brief and turns into a coherent moodboard packet. Here you can see the prompt we are using. We are back. We asked the AgenticFlow CO2i to deploy the interior moodboard creative pack blueprint, and we give it a room brief. So we are a small home office in a warm Japanese town, Japandale, with a palette of oak, cream, and mutated sage, and a few needs: an ergonomic desk, soft lighting, a storage for books, and a calm video call background. That is the kind of brief you might jot down in a sentence, and the workflow's job is to make it real. Notice the creative constraints. Also bad, we ask for concept directions, a palette, materials, furniture notes, and one moodboard image, but as draft assets only. And we are explicit that it must not claim it created a Nextcloud folder, shared files, exported a PDF, or took any external action. So the packet is a starting point you can build on, described honestly as exactly that. Kobaxi reuse at when we run it, Ishi reads the prompt, deploys the workflow on AgenticFlow, and runs it once. Let me walk through what comes back. Kodao said back with first a concept name and direction, which gives the whole room a point of view instead of a random collection of nice things. So then a refined palette and a materials list, so the oak, cream, and sage become specific usable choices. In next further notes tuned to the actual needs: the desk, the lighting, the storage. Then a generated moodboard image so you can see the feeling, not just read it. Equinify, and finally some shopping considerations to help you move from concept toward reality. Notice the transformation. Mbeko, you start with a one-line vibe, you end with a structured visual. We're back with then our shoppable direction, the kind of thing that would normally take a mood hunting afternoon on your own. With Turny, to use this yourself, you will first need the AgenticFlow CLI installed. Our earlier videos walk through the setup if you have not done that yet. So Straico, and while we are using Ishi in this episode, the exact same prompt works in their Codex or Claude Code, so use whichever agent you prefer. We might see the one nice detail: the blueprint prioritizes AgenticFlow's built-in nodes, so it only consumes AgenticFlow credits when it runs. And also Big Gamba, once it is finished, we can jump over to AgenticFlow and review the whole workflow visually, confirming each step was built and connected correctly. So you can see how the brief flows through the concept, the palette, and the image generation to produce the full packet. Here is why this matters beyond one room. And we are back with Coda. The same pattern works for any creative brief where you need to go from a feeling to a concrete, presentable direction, to a booth, a brand corner, an event space. We are back with so once it is a workflow, you can run it again and again and always get the same structured output. So why they which is what makes it it genuinely useful rather than a one-off novelty. Then deprecations are in, so I would really encourage you to try this with your own space and your own style words. In day one, prepare watch the palette and the moodboard it produces, connect it to how you actually plan a room and tune it to your taste. In a for the RC and ASA much for what. Thanks for watching. If you found this helpful, please subscribe for more, and we will see you in the next one. Hi everyone, and welcome back to the AgenticFlow channel, the tool. So we are back with X. In this episode, we are using Ishi together with the AgenticFlow CLI to build a motivational short creative packet in just a couple of minutes still. So we are back with Codex, though let me set the scene. Short form video is everywhere, but making a good one is deceptively hard. If a 30-second clip that actually lands needs a strong hook, a tight script, a clear shot list, a look and a voiceover direction. And all of that has to feel intentional, not cheesy. Most people either overthink it for hours or post something flat. We are back with Coda. This blueprint takes a simple creative brief and returns the whole production packet. So the thinking is done and you can focus on shooting. Here you can see the prompt we are using. We asked the AgenticFlow CLI to deploy the motivational short creative pack blueprint, and we give it a creative brief. The theme is about continuing to show up when progress feels invisible. The audience is early stage founders. So we're back with Comet. The format is a 30-second vertical motivational short, and the tone is grounded and cinematic, deliberately not cheesy. We act with that last note matters. It steers the whole thing away from generic hype. Notice the production policy. We ask for a 30-second script, a shot list, an image prompt, voiceover a erection, and a production checklist, but as a draft only. But we are explicit that it must not claim it generated anything with a llama rendered with file produced and 11 labs voice saved to Google Sheets 6 and or rendered a video. So we are back with cohorted clicks. So what you get is a creative plan you can trust, not a false claim that the video already exists. Return, we run it. Ishi reads the prompt, deploys the workflow on AgenticFlow, and runs it once. Let me walk through what comes back. So we are back with it. First, the hook, the opening line that has to earn the next 3 seconds. Then the 30-second voiceover script, paste for the format. Next, shot list, so you know exactly what to film source for each beat. Then generated key visuals, so you have a look to anchor the piece. We're back with after that voice direction, how the narration should actually be delivered. That finally a production checklist, so nothing gets forgotten between idea and post. Notice the transformation. But you start with theme and a vibe, and you end with a complete text. We are back with Codex. I was calling it a shootable plan. The difference between wanting to make a video and actually being ready to make one. We're back at it. To use this yourself, you will first need the AgenticFlow CLI installed. Our earlier videos walk through the setup if you have not done that yet. And while we are using Ishi in this episode, the exact same prompt works in Codex or Claude Code, so use whichever agent you prefer. We add the one nice detail: the blueprint prioritizes AgenticFlow's bin nodes, so it only consumes AgenticFlow credits when it runs. Thirdly, once it is finished, we can jump over to AgenticFlow and review the whole workflow visually, confirming each step was built and connected correctly. So we get is you can see how the brief flows the script, the shot list, and the key visual to produce the full packet. Here is why this matters at scale. Also want you the one short is nice, but the real value is that you can run this every week for any theme. And that for backdicing and always get the same complete packet, which is exactly what a consistent content calendar needs. With that, it turns short form from a burst of inspiration into a repeatable process. So reader, it recurs. So I would encourage you to try this with your own theme and audience. Scene us the hook, and that's the hook. Watch scripted writes, connected to how you already create content, and tune the tone to your brand. We the back with Jonathan. Thanks so much for watching. If you found this helpful, please subscribe for more, and we will see you in the next one.